My father was a doctor and he served in Korea, in Busan, from autumn 53 till spring 54, half a year. And he was a pediatrician, and here is a picture of him with a malnourished child. My memory from this, I was born the year the war started, 1950. So I was only 3 years old when he went away to Korea. And I have 3 sisters, 1 younger and 2 older. So we were 4 young children at home with our mother. My strongest memory from this is the pictures he took. A lot of pictures. And he showed them for us and for friends. And he had a long story to tell about all the pictures. And then nearly 2 years ago, I saw a little notice in the newspaper. They were looking for pictures from the Korean War, especially about the hospital in Busan. And I contacted them and I wanted to use our pictures. And then it's for making a documentary for Swedish television. And by this I also got to know about the Korean society, and I had several meetings with them and on the Korean embassy here in Stockholm. And they have been very interested in our story and the story of other veterans and relatives to veterans. And then I heard about this reunion trips for veterans and relatives. So I said I was interested, and so was Paul, and we went together there in November 2016. And it was a fantastic trip to see the country where my father had served. It was quite a different view. As Paul said, I could recognize the landscape, the water, the mountains, but nothing else. It was a modern society, a modern country. When my father was there in the 1950s, it was one of the poorest countries of the world, and now it's one of the richest. And it's only a little bit more than 60 years. And so it's a fantastic story. And it was very interesting to meet the Koreans and their hospitality. They were very kind and thankful to us, and they showed us a lot of places of interest. So it was a fantastic trip, and when I came back to Sweden, I have shown my pictures from our trip and compared them to my father's pictures, and I've shown them to friends and relatives and colleagues and so on.
What do you remember, maybe something vivid about your father's experience, maybe that he might have told you about?
Yes, it was when he told me about the country, and especially when he showed the pictures, it was like being in a movie. Though it was pictures, it was like a movie for us. And I've seen them many times, but I remember the story behind the pictures.
Mm-hmm. Such as what? Like something maybe you remember?
Yes, he gave a hopeful picture of the country, though it was very poor, and that you can help people with in many ways. And the Swedes did healthcare, aid, and other countries did other things for the Korean.
But does he have a story? Like about a boy, about, you know, a patient, about...
No, not as I can remember. He died when I was a teenage, so that and he hasn't written anything about it. So I don't have a written story, or only the text, the telling about around the pictures.
So, do you have some pictures maybe you can show?
Yes, I have.
You can show.
I have. Oh, sorry.
You can lift it up.
Yes, I will. I just choose some of them. People lived, some of them lived in very simple houses, in almost shanty towns. And he told, and you see also these simple buildings. And there was a great fire when they were there. And here people are in the ruins after the fire. And he told me that no people died in the fire because the houses were so low, so they just walked out. But it was a big fire. Here is the cemetery, war cemetery in Busan, with the flags of the nations who participate. Here's a funny picture. Children playing, they are jumping on a board over a crest. They could jump very high. I think this is a national sport in Korea. And I like the pictures. Though the pictures are old, the colors are very clear still. And it's funny to see these simple buildings, but they're very fine clothes of the children. It's a funny picture. These are boys looking for garbage, and they are pickpockets. And they put the things in the boxes here. And they could steal a watch with this little stick.
There were a lot of poor and orphans. There were a lot of orphans.
Yes, there were.
They had to find a way to live.
I think I have a picture. Here is also the gate of the hospital. It was, you see the flag from the United Nations, Sweden and Red Cross. I think I have a picture of the orphans too.
It must have been very emotional for you to visit Korea to see, because you know you say your father passed away when you were young, and for you to go to a place where he was, you know, around your age, or I mean, of course, a lot younger, but that must have been very emotional for you.
It was, really. And it gives...
and you must have been very proud.
I'm very proud,
because he volunteered. He wasn't forced to do it, you know?
No.
He volunteered. I think that's remarkable.
And
you know, can you explain that? Because I heard about it from Nora yesterday, and I never knew about leprosy.
Leprosy.
Oh my God.
This man has a leprosy. It's a very old disease which has been in several societies. It's an infectious disease which is very little contagious, we know, but people are afraid of it because you get wounds all over the body. You lose your senses in the skin, and therefore you get wounds which will not heal, so the faces will be malformed, and they live in separate villages because people are afraid of them.
But it's not contagious.
It's contagious, but very little.
But
You have to have a very near contact.
But the Swedish, Nora said that they volunteered in their spare time to go to the village and treat lepers.
Maybe, yes. I don't know if my father did, but he had these pictures. And nowadays you can treat this disease with antibiotics. I have more pictures on the other place of these cases.
I would guess that he went because he took pictures.
Yes, he was, but I don't know if he was working as a doctor with these patients. But he took pictures, yes.
Remarkable. War is horrific. So I wish, like I told Grandpa Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
For your father's service. And I hope that the war will end, soon, so that Swedes don't have to be there protecting the border, and there's lasting peace. I truly hope that. And honestly, I knew about Swedish contribution as providing medical support, but many people, when they learn about the Korean War, they talk about the 16 nations that fought, and then they say, well, +5, and they don't know what, they don't know about individual, contributions from the medical supporting countries. But, already, it's only my second day interviewing veterans and learning about it, and I'm just overwhelmed by how much, how significant that contribution is. People don't think about the doctors and the nurses because, where the death toll could be twice as much without the doctors and the nurses. Because I don't know about, Denmark and, Norway, but for Swedes, who I'm sure as doctors and nurses didn't need the money. They didn't do it for the money. You are already well taken care of here and respected. But to volunteer to go to a foreign country during your youth, I'm like, wow, thank you. Thank you.
I heard a number that I think about more than 1,000 Swedish personnel worked on this hospital during the years. Could that be true?
Yes. Yeah, during the war.
And after the war?
During the war, around 1,000.
Yes.
And after the war, in Pusan, another 1,000.
Okay, so
Swedes.
2,000.
2,000.
Is that the war started in June 1950, and the hospital in Pusan was in place 3 months later.
I know, September 23rd, 1950.
Yes. That's very impressive.
I think that today it would be impossible to have that kind of decision process in the Swedish government. That would take half a year.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
But during these 3 months, they made the decision, they organized it, they made all the...
And they recruited?
And they recruited.
Yes.
And they did all the negotiation with the FN and with the US.
Amazing.
So